Welcome in, Panthers fans, to the Old North State Sports Show, folks. We are here today to rebuild the Carolina Panthers defense through free agency. Now, a few caveats to this. Again, only free agency. There's going to be conversations about what we could do in the draft in addition to free agency. But for today, we're going to get money hungry. And I also know when we look at this is kind of the pipe dream. This is best case scenario. The odds of getting 4 or 5 guys that we have on the list probably pretty low, but if we can get 1 or 2, if we can get in the right direction in some of these key position groups on the defensive side of the ball that were just terrible last year, I think we can feel a little bit better heading into next year, heading into the draft, and giving us a chance to draft for the offense. And I know, again, a lot of people are going to say you got to draft defense. I don't agree with that 100%. If you can manage things through free agency with some really nice additions and you can maintain a healthy roster, you can do a lot of things, especially going into next year, and give Bryce Young on the offense some really nice weapons, which I still think it's important. And then from there, you know what? The next draft, focus on defense and then start building out a healthy backlog of defensive players that can come in and learn and grow. But without further ado, let's jump right in. And before we jump right in, let's take a look back at how bad this defense was in 2024. We'll start with looking at the defensive lineup, which wasn't great, barred by a lot of injuries, but this was your final depth chart heading into the final game of the season. This is what the Panthers were working with. It was not good. Now, there were some misses. There's some guys that aren't here anymore, guys that likely won't be coming back. But in general, you can see that the depth and the players that are on here, it's just not a good roster. We're talking about getting down to 4th and 5th linebackers in the depth chart. Outside linebacker depth, not great either. It's defensive line, same thing. But you had LeBron Ray, Shai Tuttle, both those guys probably gone. A'Shawn Robinson, who was a really good piece. Jadeveon Clowney, really good piece. Jacoby Wyndham, no knock on him. Same with John Radigan, Chandler Wooten. No knock on those guys, but those guys are truly not your starting caliber defense. We're talking about guys that were on practice squads or on our practice squad that are now called upon to start in the NFL. Josie Jewell, I think, was a really good pickup. DJ Wonham, same thing. J.C. Horn, of course. We know he missed the time at the end of the season, but not concerned about that. And then Mike Jackson, who I also think Panthers should bring back. Shaw Smith-Wade was your nickel. And then you had Xavier Woods and Damani Richardson. And Sam Franklin Jr. is great, but he's a special teams guy. And same, with Lonnie Johnson. So all that to say, you talk about giving up the most points in NFL history. Of course, Panthers history too. Top 5 in rushing yards allowed. Most in Panthers history. There's a lot of issues on the defense. We've seen an overhaul on the coaching staff that's happened, but now you just got to fix it. And sometimes, we can think that we can solve through the draft, which is true. You can get pieces, and that's really where you want to do. One of the things that I'm going to be doing a series on, or a video on, is breaking down how bad the Panthers have drafted. You go back and look the last 4 years, almost 50 draft picks, and only 50% of those draft picks still with the Carolina Panthers. That's how bad it is. You can't have a successful organization when half of your draft picks you're not hitting on, especially guys in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round. Those guys have to hit and have to stay. And when you do find someone, you got to stick with them. Something that the Carolina Panthers just haven't been able to do, but we're not here to harp on that. We're here to take a look at the rebuild. And folks, this is the rebuild perfect case scenario. And again, we're really looking at first team. I did add a few guys, kind of backups in the mix, or kept some of the backups that we had on the roster. We'll go through the list right now, though. And I'll actually break it down individually in just a second. But A'Shawn Robinson, B.J. Hill, Derek Brown, Jadeveon Clowney, Zach Baun, Josie Jewell, Josh Sweat, Javon Holland, Justin Reed, Mike Jackson, J.C. Horn, and Mike Hilton. A lot of new faces. I think that's 4 or 5 new additions through free agency. Not even really getting into what could potentially be done through the draft. But let's take a look here. Starting out, nose tackle, we've got to have a change. And I know we have TJ Smith, who we brought over. I like BJ Hill. I think he's a little bit older, coming from Cincinnati. And I know Cincinnati didn't have a great defense, but I think a bigger bodied nose tackle inside assuming we don't go after a Mason Graham, or if you do go after a Mason Graham, you plug him in here. But I think A'Shawn Robinson, a healthy Derek Brown, I'm satisfied with both of those guys. Now, if the Carolina Panthers want to explore an A'Shawn Robinson replacement or backup, I think that's absolutely doable as well. But again, we're focused really on the starters. Very much a pipe dream when we start going through these. Next on the list, we have Zach Baun. I like Trevin Wallace. I also like Josie Jewell as the starter, but I think, Trevin just doesn't have it yet. Not saying he can't get there, but we go back and look at last year, there's still some gaps, still some holes. And if you really want to be a good defense, put somebody else in front of him, which was the plan last year, and give Trevin Wallace the time to grow and develop. And why not go out and get one of the best linebackers that are available? Probably going to demand a pretty penny. We know that. That's what a lot of these guys are. They're some of the best of the position groups that are available on defense. But we're here to rebuild and not be satisfied with just, hey, let's go get another guy that can plug and play. Speaking of plug and play in defense in the Eagles, Josh Sweat, again, I think I would absolutely love him as another outside linebacker. Again, no knock on TJ Wonham or Clowney, but we need to upgrade there. I think fans understand that. I think it's good to have multiple players that you can plug and play, guys that can come in, give folks like Clowney a breather. Clowney's not getting any younger. However you want to, put this together. I like bringing in someone. And now there's another few names out there in the free agency market, so maybe we don't land him, but there's a lot. The safety room, going to get an overhaul. Why not go out? You got Robert Hunt tweeting out about friends that he wants to recruit and bring over. Go ahead and bring on Javon Holland, probably the best safety that's available from the Dolphins, and Justin Reed. Like, let's just do this thing up the right way. Get talent in the back half of this defense that can help protect over the top, because we just weren't good. We were not good. So go out and get some of the best that are available. I like Mike Jackson and JC Horn as well to stay put. Again, I'm assuming Mike Jackson comes back. If not, we'll need to talk about the depth that we want to explore the cornerback position. Shaw Smith-Wade, also another one that's like, yeah, he's good as far as, providing depth and learning. Go out and get you a proven nickel. And I like Mike Hilton out of the Cincinnati Bengals, or coming from the Cincinnati Bengals. And that's my rebuild, folks. Going through, and let's run it back up here. So 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't think there's anything wrong with getting 6 free agents. Starters, I think that just tells you that over half the defense having a new position or new starter at their position, you can't go wrong, like with where we are. And I think you do this rebuild and maybe only get 3 or 4. But if you can get upgrades at, I don't know, half of the defense, and whether it's through the draft or free agency, and hopefully a healthy defense next year, we just want to get back to the middle of the pack, and a defense that we can rely on so that Bryce Young doesn't have to put up 25, 30 points per game. A defense that can stop teams at the end of the games, that can hold them so that we can pull out wins. You got to be feeling much better as a Panthers fan. Anyways, folks, this is Carolina Dad. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Y'all have a good one.